welcome to another edition of your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show.
Question is, did she subscribe?
Right.
I know she's down on YouTube.
Representing from the Boondocks. What up, Jobo?
Hello, what's up? Happy Wednesday.
What up? She repping her Hey Sister Soldier look right now. Everybody give it up for Bunny. What's happening, Bunny?
What up? Happy hump day.
T-Bone, what's going on, brother?
I'm back, and I don't know about better than ever, but I'm back.
What is going on, party people? It is your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth. I think that may be on a highlight reel tape. And we're glad that you are tuning in live along with the millions
And millions
of the platform sports talk show fans on once again your Wednesday night sports delight.
Really?
Or
Brinks truck backing up in his driveway with
There you go.
97 million. There you go.
all you hear is this.
Probably somebody who's doing something to give back and letting the next generation.
Say
Don't
straight.
have me syrup on here.
Come on now, don't have me tear up. You know I get emotional.
But people watching around the world, no pressure. And we already have our favorite fan, Miss Williams, saying welcome, Brandon.
Well, how are you? Hi, Ms. Williams.
A guy who tried to give it his all and put on for the city, to be truthful. Because like I said, I'm St. Louis die hard.
The views of Smooth does not reflect the Platform Sports Talk Show or its sponsors.
What is happening, party people? It is your boy Smooth. Welcome out to another edition. edition. I'm just playing with y'all. To your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I'm back doing it again, and we have an incredible show for each and every one of y'all souls this evening. Tonight's special guest, we are planning to have him on around the 8 o'clock hour. So stay tuned, get them likes, get them shares going, because it's going down in a major way. STL, let's go. Let's come together even more. And let's enjoy a wonderful upcoming show this evening on the platform sports talk show. I am not alone. Up first, we was out there last week for ladies' night, and it was an incredible show. She's holding things down from the boondocks. Jobo, what's happening?
What's up? Happy Wednesday. Last week was awesome. You know, having the whole crew out. That was a lot of fun. I'm happy everyone made it out, got home safe, didn't hit any deer out here, but yeah, it was a really fun time, and I was happy I got to see all y'all.
Man, you ain't lying with it. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. What you got? Ooh. Hey, wait a minute.
I don't know if you're going to see it.
Oh, yeah, we can see it. You can see it. It's looking good on you. Okay. Repping the ladies' night. I'm loving it.
It's good. I like it.
I'm loving it. Yes. So, like you said before, out there, you got to watch out for coyotes. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, for coyotes, for deers, for wildebeest. I mean, it's but no, it was cool, cool little drive, and had a good time. And I just love to have everyone together when we can. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how the show started originally. You know, Stanton, Sadal, then eventually Bunny. We was all together. You know what I'm saying? At the old spot for a while. Then here come the pandemic and things changed, but it grew the show and allowed us to do even more things like we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. But like you said, it was definitely cool and fun to be out there in the boondocks. And, you know, shouts out to you and your husband, Brendan, for allowing us to set up shop and be able to see the Boba County household and baby Boba as well.
Yeah, baby Boba, she loved Jamie, man. Gave her a little fist pump before y'all left, but
no surprise there.
Yeah, she takes a second to, you know, get used to new people, but you know, Jamie just kept talking to her and she ended up liking her. So so that was awesome. But yeah, it was awesome. I'm happy you guys all got to make it out, and it was finally got to meet your wife, Jamie. That was awesome. Right. And she was all nervous about the sports part, but she did good.
Man, she was a natural. You know, I already knew it was going to happen like that. She just be, you know, she think mentally like, oh no, I can talk about nothing. I'm like, you're going to be just fine. Because first off, it's a room full of women. It's going to pop off just naturally, just the conversations. And y'all did an incredible job. So shouts out to you. Shouts out to Coach Willis and to Bunny, who will be on later on when she's all settled at the crib, because we do once again have a big show in store for you this evening. We are definitely excited about it, and we hope that you all once again get them likes, get them shares going. Up next, he's been gone for a couple of weeks. He's back. He's settled down now here in the Lou. No more Orlando. Maybe we'll see. But he's here. He's back. T-Bone Funk. What's going on with you, brother?
I'm here. I made it. Just in time. Good
to have you back, man. Last time I seen you, you had a epic show for the man cave, man. You let Deion Sanders know how you felt, and you didn't hold back. Sadal didn't hold back on certain things, and it was a crazy show, but I had a good time with y'all, man.
It's amazing what being stuck in traffic will get out of you. It's a nice little therapy session.
So how long did it take you after the show, you know, to make it to your destination?
I think I got there by midnight, so probably 11 o'clock Central Time.
I think we got off like around about 9:30ish or something like that, 9 o'clock. So
to recap for those of you who weren't listening to the Man Cave, and why weren't you? Come on now. Come on, we all there. But I made my final trip from Orlando to St. Louis in the truck this time, and got stuck in traffic because the most Florida thing ever. Some semi truck collided with an overpass that shut down the highway pretty much all day. So it let me through. So till about 10 o'clock at night, Eastern. But did the drive. Next day, made it all the way back. So did the rest of it in one day. So it was unseasonably hot at 80-something degrees in Nashville that Thursday. So I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, I know here in the Midwest, in the Lou, should I say more specifically, we had some good weather for a couple of days. 70 here, 60 there. Now I want to be back to 40 something, and I heard some parts of St. Louis had a little bit of sleet, and we're talking about possible snow, and you know how it is in the Midwest, Joe.
Yeah, it's got my my allergies all messed up. Mia's got some boogies, and it'll be beautiful one day, and the next day you got a sore throat because it's 50 degrees out and not 60 degrees out. So that's how it is here. I'm just excited for consistent nice weather, the sun, and just enjoying outside.
And then guess what's going to happen when it's like July and every day going to be muggy? They're going to be saying, "Oh my God, why it got to be so hot?"
I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I like being out, and if you have family members or something that have a pool, that helps out a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So for people who got them pools, we coming. We're gonna do a sports talk show right at the pool side. So you're doing big things in 23, and tonight is just the start. You know what I'm saying? So big things popping in 2023 for the Platform Sports Talk Show. As y'all can see, you got a new backdrop going on behind us and everything, showing love to St. Louis City SC. We will get into that and so much more. Go ahead and do a little curveball. So we can go ahead and start our normal first topic. You know how we do. But before that, T-Bone, let everybody know for our first timers where they can find us at.
Well, if you're checking out for the first time, make sure that, first you can, if you want to see us in high quality HD TV, make sure you check us out on the Roku. This full show will be available after this show is posted. But, we also got that Hot 365 radio that we want to talk about because it's always hot out there. You can catch all the shows, all of them. You're about to hear about them in a second, but you can catch us on Hot 365 radio and their Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Hot365 radio. And, you can check us out on there. And, hey, look, we've already talked about it. The first Wednesday of the month is Ladies' Night. You can catch the full crew. They were out live in person last week. And, there's this other show. I don't know if y'all heard about it, but there's this other show. It's called The Man Cave. That's right. So y'all didn't know. Look at that. Quick change right there. Quick change.
Hey, look at the T-shirt, baby.
Look at that. Anyway, we got merch, but that'll be available soon. So anyway, you can check us out on The Man Cave. You can catch us, as it says here, every last Wednesday of the month. We there, one way or another. Even if we stuck in traffic, we there for you. So look, you can catch The Man Cave. You can catch Ladies' Night, the Platform Sports Talk Show that you see all the stuff. And we want to hear from y'all. Who y'all want to hear on the show? Who y'all want to get on the show? Look, if y'all checking us out tonight, look, anything is possible, and you'll find out later. So, send us a tweet, a Facebook message, a Gmail, Instagram. Send us out there. And hey, when you're on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. And when you do, make sure you go ahead and hit that
bell.
That's right, because when we go live, we want you to be
notified.
That's right, people. Hopefully I hit them all up. Hopefully I hit them all up.
Hit them up. So, Joe, show off that shirt again.
Oh.
You have every first Wednesday, you have Ladies' Night, and then T-Bone, every last Wednesday, you have
The Man Cave.
Look at us representing.
Loving it. I'm loving it. Platform Sports Talk Show. We going global. We ain't playing with y'all. So now
gotta get all cozy again now.
Right. Now let's get right into it. You now have my attention. What sports story or stories has your attention? T-Bone, you go first.
You know, it's this time of year where stuff starts happening and quarterbacks start getting paid. And I'm trying to figure out why every year, this is what has my attention. It's not even the athletes, it's the people. That's right, the people are disappointing. Why is it every year quarterbacks become free agents or potential trades or whatever, and every year there's outrage over the potential money that a quarterback who may not be the top tier quarterback, there's always outrage of what that person is potentially going to be making. Like, oh, Daniel Jones is going to be making this much more money than Patrick Mahomes. What? Do people not understand how this works? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Interesting. It's funny how you brought that up because as of today, for those who don't know, Lamar Jackson, right? He just got presented with the franchise tag by the Baltimore Ravens. And what's so significant about this is that other teams, if they want to, they could sign him, but they would have to give the Ravens 2 picks. Of course, he's gonna be
all right. I needed like this to be explained to me because I was told I don't know, like hockey trades are confusing sometimes, and then like football trades are sometimes confusing to me. And you know, when picks and stuff get in there, I just get a little lost. But when I was seeing like what do they call it, the what tag, the franchise tag on, like I just feel like that just sounds bad. I don't know, it just sounds bad to me. But I didn't know that there's other stuff to it that if so someone can trade or sign for him, and
so it's similar. It's similar to the Rule 5, which if the Cardinals, you know how the Cardinals got someone a couple years ago, I can't recall his name right now. If they decide to keep him throughout the season, you know, they're that, you know, he'll be playing for them throughout the whole season. But if the Cardinals actually release that player, then he has to go back to, I believe, the organization that he came from, or
Wilkie
they will lose.
Rodriguez is Wilkie Rodriguez
right.
is okay, so he would have to go back to the Yankees, and we would lose picks.
Isn't that kind of built off of like the soccer on loan rule?
Right. So that's what the franchise tag is about with this man right here, Lamar Jackson. So what's going on is kind of like he's a protected free agent right now. Restricted free agent pretty much. But the Ravens, the Ravens have him right now. But if, let's say, the Falcons wanted to sign him, the Ravens have the opportunity to match that offer or say, you know what, he's yours. Well, what's going on now is you have the Ravens, you have the Rams, you had 5 or so other teams that publicly went out and said, we don't want to sign him. We're good on Lamar Jackson. And now there's speculation of collusion between the owners. And the reason why that's going on, is because of how the Cleveland Browns last year signed what's his name? Tip of the tongue right now. Help me out.
Deshaun Watson.
Thank you. I'm about to say Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Watson. They signed him to like a $200 million some deal for like up 10 years. So that set the bar. So you have guys like Lamar Jackson who's like, well, the next team that signed me, I better get a bigger long-term deal than what this dude got, because he ain't even played in 2 years. And I just got the MVP a couple years ago, and I'm better than him. I'm one of the best quarterbacks in all of football. These owners are trying to come together. They ain't gonna say it out loud, but they're coming together and make an example now out of Lamar Jackson and any other quarterback or any other player who wants a long-term $200 million deal. they want to change the whole script around to prevent these players to think that you're easily going to get the money that you want to get.
It's price fixing. They know what they're doing.
So yeah, that is a big issue right now. All thanks to that signing last year by the Browns getting Deshaun Watson, and
My
now
Browns always got to mess stuff up.
Yeah, and then you saw what happened with Kyler Murray last year too. He got signed to a crazy deal, and he ain't proved nothing. So it's like, if I'm a Lamar Jackson and I won an MVP a couple years ago, I ain't gonna want to have the same amount of money. I want to have just as much as those two guys because I feel like I deserve that. But these teams are coming together saying, no, we don't want to sign him to no long-term deal, just X amount of dollars, because that's going to set the market for other players to want to have the same thing or more. They want to find a way to flip the script. And before we continue on, she's ready to rock and roll. Give me a thumbs up. Oh, no, she said she ain't ready. She said, hold up, wait a minute. So we'll wait just a little minute. Take your time. Enjoy it. But yes, that's what's going on right now. They're trying to flip the script and set the tone in regards to how much money and how many years. And remember, Joe, how we had the conversation about Carlos Correa and how, these long-term deals, these teams is going to get to a point eventually, no matter what league you're in, that these organizations are going to start changing their tone in regards to giving these guaranteed, not not, you know what I mean? These guaranteed 8-year, 9-year, 10-year deals, where now they want to maybe see about maybe a 3 to 4 year deal with the option.
Well, I feel like baseball's kind of going the longer term route right now. Like, ignore the Correa situation. All these contracts that just happened this offseason were like Bogarts. The dude's been in the league for him and Machado. They've both been in the league for 10 plus years, and they just got double-digit extensions. Like, that's mind-blowing to me. So I don't know. So there's some goofy money, funny money being played with in baseball right now. So but don't get your hopes up. Cardinals won't do anything with like that. So but yeah. Hold on though. Newbar's got Otani and the whole country of Japan doing the pepper grinder. So who knows? Oh my goodness. I woke up and I saw that the other day. Cardinals Twitter was going nuts.
Man,
that's pretty cool though,
so,
ain't it?
So Newbar is like the unofficial representative for the Cardinals in regards to recruiting Otani for hopefully next year and years beyond. Hopefully the next 20 years. No, let me stop. But,
shoot, if Cardinals aren't going to go out and get Bryce Harper 3-4 years ago, they're not going to drop $500 million on Shohei, because Shohei's probably going to get $500 million. So that's
and he
that.
deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves it. Like, he's pitching like an ace and he's hitting like an ace, and it's going to be someone like the Mets, Dodgers, Padres, and Trout said he's trying his best to get him to stay, and he says this year they will make the playoffs because they have to if they want Otani to stay. So we'll see. That's going to be another fun, interesting offseason to talk about.
Hey, you know what though? Talking about the quarterbacks in the NFL, dang, that was close. Okay, let me back up a little bit. Anyway, talking about the quarterbacks in the NFL, I think that the change, and you may have brought this up earlier, is the fact that more of the quarterbacks' money is starting to be guaranteed compared to what it used to be.
Exactly.
So, the NFL is not a guaranteed league. So, like how we're talking about the MLB, they're used to that fully guaranteed contracts, or I think that is that right, Joe? That they're mostly guaranteed, most of them.
Lately they've been, but there used to be a lot of opt-outs and stuff in these deals. Now you're seeing, no opt-outs, no trade clauses, everything.
Or club options.
Yeah, or club options. It's just been straight money in years, and that's that.
So what the NFL would probably be wary about, and again, I don't think that the practice of what they're trying to do is necessarily good, because eventually, it's going to cause more battles, because that's the stuff that they're doing like that. That's the stuff that'll cause a strike to happen, because the players recognize, look, they're trying to take the money away from us. So if from the NFL's perspective, though, I think that this is also because who knows what those television rights fees are going to be in the next so many years? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're winning right now, but we're getting to a point where cable and, network television is not the same as it used to be, 5 years ago, right? So what's it going to look 5-10 years from now? And they're probably trying to make sure that they're not overdoing it with these contracts, because that's going to flip them upside down if the TV rights are not coming in the way that they want them to be.
And it's funny you brought that up, because MLB is going through an issue where regional networks are starting to say, you know what, we may not have enough funds to do a regional network. So guess we got to pick all that up and start their own regional network package, MLB.
Yeah. It's got me, I don't know, Brennan's like, everything's going to be fine, which I'm sure it will be, but we're like 3 weeks out of opening day, and I'm nervous. Like I don't. That's all we've heard about the last couple of years is blackouts. Like Iowa can't watch like 10 teams during the regular season because they're connected to so many teams around them. So, that's crappy. So we'll see what happens. It sounds like you might just be able to buy the MLB package maybe and be good to go. And I hope that's the case, because if we're not watching the Cardinals, we're watching the Astros. If we're not watching the Astros, we're watching the Orioles. We're always watching someone here. So I just hope they get it figured out, and we got to put our trust in Rob Manfred to get this taken care of.
I just think that's not good, because again, the whole thing that baseball has been trying to do over the past so many years is at least keep their market share, right? And when you go into these regional packages and you make it harder for people to access the games, that's a barrier to entry that's going to make fans not want to at least engage in what's going on with the games and get invested. So that's
something you hear about all year long on every social media platform. It's not just Cardinals fans, it's everyone all over, complaining about it. And you got it now with YouTube TV. I guess there's some weird thing that MLB and them couldn't come to agreement. And so I see it on Twitter at least once a day that, fans are upset about not having YouTube TV to be able to watch MLB Network, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully they get it figured out.
And now she's ready. She just had her red cup in her hand, got her little drink going. She's ready to go ahead and she's laughing right now. She's ready to go ahead and bring in her opinion. So y'all know who she is, the host of Ladies Night. Bunny, what's going on?
You put me on blast like that, Smooth. I can't knock it though. He's correct, you all. Hell of a day is all I can say. But cheers to everyone. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, happy National Women's Day. Hey.
Happy National Women's Day, Bunny.
Hey, Joe Bo, you a woman that rocks.
Right. Speaking of women, Bunny, tell us just about your thoughts of last week's show, seeing all the ladies together. Of course, not Coach String because she was out of town, but just in regards to Ladies Night and the Boondocks, what were your thoughts?
It was awesome. Shout out to the hostess with the mostest, Joe Bo. Girl, let me tell you, my daughter, Sasha, is so enthused about all the toys she got to play. And for you heard the background when she was playing and cooking and all that every day. Can we go to Mia's house? I'm like, Mia's not home.
That's hilarious.
Like every day in the car ride. Sasha.
They both looked like they had some fun. So, like you said in our little chat, we'll have to plan something because there's a lot more upstairs, and we get her at least a toy a week. I feel like so.
I think it's too many toys. I'm like, we should not be competing with Toys R Us here. But
yeah,
I digress regarding that. But they had look. Ask my girls, and they had a blast at your house without me being there, unfortunately. But it was a good show. Like I said, Joe, you were a great hostess, and I love the layout. I love the sports theme. As far as our content, good topics. Of course, I don't know why Jamie thought she was shy because she's not. But it's good to hear her story and how she started during the pandemic, getting her fitness stuff going. But overall, I'm glad Coach Willis got to join us. So we hear about the girls' basketball season, how that's going. I just look forward to another ladies' night. But yeah, very, very good vibe, very relaxed couch. And again, my girls just love Mia's house. Not Joe's house. Nope. Mia's house.
That's good. That's awesome, though.
Yes. So, any thoughts in regards to what we've been talking about recently, or over in regards to this these contracts and the possible collusion going on in the NFL with Lamar Jackson, Bunny?
Oh, definitely collusion. But it was funny. I was going over some videos we had on a show about from a year or two ago, and I remember the conversation we had when Mike Claiborne was on the guest, and Mike indulged in us that he used to be a sports agent, and so I segued with that with the NFL talk and why they don't have guaranteed contracts, and it's still valid to now. Why don't they have guaranteed contracts? The players have more power than they realize. They can do a walkout, as you said, T-Bone, can lead to a strike, and they should. I'm not saying, I know it's a physical game, so I know it's more risk. There's no NFL owner that's poor. There's no NFL owner that's losing money. You have the money. I know in business, you want to look out for yourself first, and you want to make as much money as possible. But at the same time, every now and then, just think about doing something that's right to the players. And my thing is, I don't know which way to go. If you're doing a 3 or 4 year deal, quarterback or not, either have your first year guaranteed as under rookie contract, or when you become veteran status after you do your first contract, then you can get the guaranteed money. Somewhere, somehow, it needs to be some guaranteed money in there. I know it's more money out there. It's more risky because players get hurt all the time. But I'm just saying that is the number one sport, so they generate the most money as well. It's enough to go around. Their seasons are shorter. So, of course, your fan base is not actually going to games as much as compared to NHL and NBA games, and definitely not MLB games, but it's still enough money to go around. So the collusion that they're doing with Lamar Jackson is definitely real. I was listening to that on 101 today, hearing their perspective, and I get, again, from a business perspective, business owner, but at the same time, you want to make your player happy. So it's almost like a game of chicken. So they put the tag on Lamar. They're going to see who was going to match. And if that other teams out there match it, then they may match it. They'll be like, okay, happy. Y'all can take them. But good quarterbacks are hard to find. Not quarterbacks, because every team has one. Good quarterbacks. And we see the role that Lamar's on. He's definitely could sustain being a good quarterback minus injuries. As you mentioned earlier, Smooth, about Kyler Murray. I said this last season, football season. Kyler Murray, people adjust to his game real quick, and he's falling off some stats wise. So that either the scheme that they have him in or the plays have him running isn't working anymore, or his skill level has fallen off some. He's still fairly young, so I don't think the skill level should be falling off. But again, that proves to show you can be a young quarterback and fall off after a couple good years, or you can be a good one. For Russell Wilson, we know he had a bad year in Denver. They didn't just give up on him. They invested a lot of money. So they said, let's just ask that coach. Ask some of the extra stuff he had going on. Let's try this again. So we'll see next year. And I like Sean Payton, so we'll see what he can do out Denver. But yeah, it's a game at business owners first, money first. Spin off to MLB. So what you were mentioning, T-Bone, earlier about those contracts, MLB, they don't have a salary cap. That's why them contracts are bigger the whole state of Missouri. Bigger than the United States, because there's no salary caps. So Jobo, that you said it's more and more frequently those long year deals. Yeah. Why should it change? It's working for them. 5 years ago, T-Bone, you said, well, we see about the TV rights, and that's how some of the money is generated. Yes and no, as far as will it affect the future contracts, because we are the consumers. The fans are controlling that narrative. If it was everything the same way it was 10 years ago, you wouldn't be talking about TV rights and having problems having TV on and blackout, this and that. Because how the consumer and fans watch the games change how that regional sports network isn't working anymore. Everybody's cutting cords. Nobody's with cable and satellite. So they got to change it up some. But I believe MLB, because they're always the last to the table, they will figure it out. It's going to be a little late, but they'll figure it out. And as far as the blackouts, I don't think it helps anybody out, especially when you're trying to gain a fan base. You're trying to get the next generation involved. Stop blacking it out. You need to promote as much as possible. And I don't think, looking at the numbers and dollars, they're going to lose money if they stop the blackouts. But what do I know, right? Who am I?
Joe, should MLB follow what MLS is doing with their Apple TV package?
I mean, I guess, all that stuff I don't understand, but we subscribed or whatever, we signed up for a year subscription, and I will say me and Brennan have watched more than just City SC games in the 2 weeks the season's been on. So, it might be something smart to do. Not everyone could do that though. It's just like we talked about last year. Not everyone has the chance to watch that random Saturday night Albert Pujols, not breaking a record, but home run chase on Apple TV. Not everyone had the chance to do that. So, I guess it'll work out. I'm sure they could do something like that, and it'd be fine. You still have the oldies that would rather listen to the radio too. So,
but that was my counter thing regarding MLB. See, NFL doesn't have to worry about everything going to Amazon Prime for Thursday night and maybe another Monday Night Football. Who knows what happens in the future? NFL has the fan base, has the money. NBA, if they started doing that again, they have enough already fans. They're not down in viewership per se. The MLB, they're struggling to get new fans. So they need to probably do the opposite approach and don't just strictly have it on one network. You need to be marketing, showing it as much as possible, at least as a sample. So do it for one season or two. Because if you don't have people all the time seeing it, out of sight, out of mind. You know how many people, again, I know you're a diehard baseball fan. I'm a great baseball fan. But we're talking about if you strategically developing your next generation of viewers and fans, Mia's age and Sasha's age, you need to be showing it more. So all they think is like, baseball games on, not just the Cardinals, the Seattle Mariners game. Because, you got to make it where it's like almost second nature. Everybody knows Sunday equals football in America, day or night. You can't say about MLB, the primetime games on Sunday night, even though it is, but some people are like,
it says Sunday Night Baseball, Yankees, Red Sox, or Cardinals, Cubbies.
Right. But you got to be paying attention to know, like, but we know Little League, Pop Warner, they know Sundays, day or night, is NFL games on. But the same Little League team, do they know Sunday night primetime baseball? Maybe, maybe not. But you need to make sure that's how you build them. Put it everywhere. Make that stuff for free. Like I said, do a sample 1 year or two and see. If it doesn't work, try something else. But they are trying to speed up the game. Joe, I know you're opposite of trying to tweak things, but it's to get the fans in the market, then you got to do
it. I still think that they're going to wind up having problems because, if you just look at the way that people consume stuff now, we all grew up with, cable television and then the expansion to digital cable. And then, we grew up with all the other stuff coming like well after, into our 20s at least. So these kids these days, they're not used to just sitting down and watching stuff for hours and hours. Even if you speed up the game to the best that you can and you make it 2.5 hours, those kids are not going to be sitting through those games watching it, like that, especially baseball when it's so many games per season. Like they're going to have to, one, be in their faces, like you said, Bunny. They're going to need to be where the people can be, but still, they're still going to have to find ways to market to, person. They need to make it more personality driven because that's really what the NFL is. And the NFL is, like you said, everybody knows it's Sundays. Everybody is easily accessible because most of it's on network television. No cable subscription required. Baseball and basketball, which basketball has a lot of fans, but they kind of get lost in the noise because there's so many games that, in the season. And I don't think that that's going to hold the attention of these younger generations the way that we would think it would if it was us.
Well, here, can we get to you got my attention then?
Yep, go ahead.
WBC. This is something that will get the younger kids, into baseball more often. There's only 2 games so far that were actually part of the tournament. Last night's game, it was like noon in Taiwan, so there wasn't that many people there. But the morning game, night game there, that game was fun. It was Panama and I can't remember the other country, but there's Brendan. What was I gonna say? This was amazing back in 2017. So many people were into it, and there's even more elite stars, young guys that show so much fire and emotion that are in it this year. Even this is something that if you're not into baseball, watch it. I promise you'll be into baseball at the end of it because it's only for 2 to 3 weeks, and these guys just put everything out there. So that's been fun. And USA has a little trial expedition game today against the Giants. So that's going to be fun. If you have MLB Network, watch it because I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I definitely am excited about it. Look forward to seeing these players, especially our Cardinal players, like 12 or 13 guys are out there doing things right now. But we'll get to that more in a minute. Bunny, what has your attention? Uh-oh. 1 second, y'all.
She goes.
Let's see.
Joe,
you
just
ready?
made
My bad, you all. As you mentioned earlier, allergies kicking my butt. So my attention is, it could be a couple different things, but this was breaking news. I don't know if y'all touched this already about Boeheim not coming back from Syracuse. Sorry to be Syracuse's men's basketball coach. And I don't think he chose to leave. He was forced to leave, but here nor there. But that had me thinking. I brought this up the other day. I was saying, we had Coach K. I forgot Nova's coach. And Roy Williams retired 2 years ago, right? All them three, they've won in the last 10 years. All three of those coaches won national championships. And a couple years ago, they retired. And now Boeheim, how you pronounce it? Boeheim is forced out. So I'm looking at this as a changing of the guard type deal. And hopefully the next person, they already have an assistant that's going to take over the men's basketball program. Hopefully you have a younger and give somebody else an opportunity to lead a team and, get some more W's. But the other thing that had my attention, I found this online, still stick with basketball, but on the women's side. So Black History Month wrapped up technically last week, but it was a story about there was the HBCU that went all the way to the national championship. They lost, but they went all the way, and it's not talked about. And this was happening, I think, 1983, which was Cheney State University. And that had my attention because why in 2023 am I first hearing about this, about HBCU? Only time they ever had HBCU make it all the way that far into a championship game but lose. And they were coached by C. Vivian Stringer, who we talked about. She's a Hall of Fame coach. She actually coached Rutgers for years as well. But that had my attention because we need more of these hidden gems, unknown stories talked about, especially on the women's side. So those two things have my attention.
And for me, basketball, high school basketball and college, it's March. You know what that means? March Madness. You have state championships coming along right now. Shouts out to my alma mater, the V. They doing big things right now. Schools across the area performing, holding things down. So best of luck to all the high school teams. And, of course, in college, next week by this time, we will have our brackets ready. Everyone on the show will have their women's and men's bracket together. Some may not be all the best experts, but we're going to still have fun and make our predictions and see how things go, because you never know in regards to March Madness. Mizzou is a 4th seed in the SEC. No one saw that coming, so they have a double bye. So they play on Friday. SLU is a number 3 seed in the A10. They play tomorrow. They have a double bye. So both teams are in great positions to win both of their conference tournaments. So let's see what's happening, or let's see what happens starting tomorrow for SLU and then Friday for Mizzou. Mizzou is already a lot to get into the big dance. They are currently AP top 25, right at number 25 to end the season. So shouts out to Coach Gates. No one thought Mizzou would be higher than maybe half of the league, or maybe even a third. No one thought that they would make it, but they have won 21 games this past season with first-year head coach Dennis Gates. So I look forward to seeing March Madness. These tournaments going on right now is going to be crazy. It's an incredible time of the year if you are a sports fan. Of course, spring training underway, and as Joe brought up, the WBC. Now, we all know that Joe is, of course, our hockey and our baseball insider, but now it's official. She's our soccer insider as well.
Y'all should have
Wait,
seen us here at the house last 2 Saturdays.
Wait. Before you hit on the soccer, you forgot to mention shout out to the SLU women's basketball team who won the first ever AD championship and first time going to the big dance. SLU women. Woo-hoo!
Yes. Thank you for reminding me because I definitely had that queued up as well. But yes, they won for the first time. They're going to the big dance. They did it the hard way by winning the conference championship tournament. So shouts out to SLU women. Keep changing the narrative, man. Keep shocking the world, doing y'all thing. And it would happen around the time of International Women's Month and Sports Women Month. And I love it. Let's go. Let's go. So shouts out to y'all. But yes, Joe, once again, you are now the soccer insider. Tell us your thoughts about St. Louis City SC, all for City, as the team won their inaugural home game just last
Saturday, but it was awesome. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
Friday was the hype time. They had all the little
right.
You know what's funny is I didn't know. So Friday night was like the adult block party, and then apparently Saturday was the family block party. I didn't know that. If I would have known that, maybe we would have brought Baby Boba down. But we went to Suisun Park instead. Regardless, look at this. Look at this place. That place was thriving Saturday night. The fans were awesome. The presentation before the game was awesome. Kennedy Holmes was amazing. It was just all St. Louis. They just showed out. They showed the world what we're capable of, that we are a soccer town, a sports town, and we won. And I think we got a rival game too, because that Competti guy, I wanted to smack the living hell out of him. I couldn't stand him. It's exciting. It's like I said, we got the MLS package. We've watched other games besides just City SC, but we're excited because this Saturday we got a West Coast game, and then also USA plays Saturday night. So we're gonna have to find another TV to post up in the living room or something so we can watch both. But it's been awesome.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's been awesome, and I got a favorite player. His name's Klaus. He's our leading scorer. He's goofy looking. He looks like a freaking like I think one of the announcers said he just looks like an awkward truck on the field. But he's big. He's like he doesn't look like a soccer player, but he's been good. I will say like half of our goals have been because of defensive miscues from the other team. Goal's a goal, a dub's a dub. We take those, and you got me outside playing soccer with Mia saying corner kick. So I'm just it's been so much fun. It's exciting, and they're not supposed to be good, and so far we're 2-0. So
you know what I was thinking? Because you know how the Blues franchise up until the last 10 years, but even in their inaugural season, always made it to the playoffs. So I'm like, can St. Louis City SC do the same thing in their inaugural season and years after now make it to the playoffs every year?
Let's see. You know what's crazy is like we talk about how baseball is a long season. They have like one game a year, one game a week.
That would be a long year. Long
season. But then like Brendan was showing it to me. It was like
it's February to like October, similar to baseball almost.
Yeah, but like October until like the New Year's to playoffs, because there's only like a game a week. It's really weird, but it's exciting because like me, baseball season's over and I curl up in a little ball and I don't know what to do with my hands, until the snow melts again. So it's exciting. We got 4 sports in St. Louis and it's just so fun. So
and I read this the other day. Back to what T-Bone talking about contracts earlier. So City St. Louis team actually did something different with contracts. They put the most money into the goalie. That's not normal for soccer clubs to do that. But they put that money in the goalie, and he's good. And he's a captain. And so we're getting our money's worth out of him so far. So they did something a little different, but I'm glad it's paying off for them. But he's been, doing what he's supposed to be doing and leading. So hopefully this contract is worth it, and they're building around him. Usually don't build around a goalie, but they're doing it this way, and it's working so far.
And Joe, talk about the style of play that you've seen so far from St. Louis City SC, and what stands out about this team and why they could be, or why they are, 2-0 at this time.
Shoot, now you got me like in a spotlight a little bit because my cousins were over last week watching with us, and they both played soccer a lot. I played a little bit in high school just because I needed a goalie. So they know all the terms like striker and this and that. But I don't know, it's weird because if you look at the stats at the end of the game, the other teams got us beat in almost everything. I just kind of feel like we're that gritty type of team and we're not going to go anywhere. And to me, that just sounds like St. Louis sports because I feel like, when the Blues are good, that's how they are. When the Cardinals are good, they're just that gnat that's around your face the entire year, and then they'll end up making the playoffs. And Battlehawks seem that way early on so far. So I don't know. They're just a gritty team, and I don't know. It just seems like it's going to be fun. And I don't know if you've seen videos, but they want to be here in St. Louis and playing for this city. So it's really exciting to watch.
And something that I seen was they had like this march from somewhere downtown, and they walk right into the stadium, and they had this little thing they do with drums and this little saying they'll do, the chants and everything. Like, I love that kind of energy, so I look forward to checking out the St. Louis City SC experience very soon. Definitely, as you brought up earlier, Joe, just a great time right now to love St. Louis sports. And as you said, now we have four professional teams. Well, you know what? I'm gonna say 5 because of we had our guest on Ross Chaffetz, St. Louis Shock, the pickleball league as well. But y'all know what I mean, though. So great.
What about the announcer for the soccer team? Is he like the one that they have in the other leagues when they score a goal? And he says,
"Oh, you're talking about like like hours
for like a minute long."
No.
Right.
Mia thinks it's funny when we do that here at the house. Go!
I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just good energy, like you said, though, Fred. Like just seeing all the, the drums go, and it kind of reminds me of the WBC from what we've seen. But it's funny as I tweeted it last week. So we got Jordan Walker. He's hitting big league pitching in spring training. You had City SC at 2-0 at the time. You had the Battlehawks 2-0, and the Blues are just there. They're there. We love them. They're there. But Jordan Walker and our other two teams, just showing out right now. It's gets me giddy.
And from what I understand, I believe the national women's team will be having a game here in St. Louis sometime, I believe, next summer as they prepare for the World Cup. So that's going to be exciting. Then you're going to be seeing eventually, other big time players from around the country playing here in St. Louis. So it's going to be a lot of exciting things, and it's going to bring just a whole nother dynamic and energy and, of course, money for St. Louis. And, all that we can hope and pray for is that, of course, locally, is that people who travel to St. Louis for the first time will come back. They can experience St. Louis as a great place to enjoy a game and not think about what's going on with crime or, people who just doing stuff that should be doing what they have been doing, because that has been a concern. So hopefully we can work on the city as a whole can work as a whole to make sure that people can just come to St. Louis, no matter if it's baseball, basketball, pickleball, football, soccer, whatever, and just enjoy. You know what I'm saying? Don't have to worry about this and that or where you parked at. No, you just want to come down and enjoy, because that's going to bring more attention to the region. That can help out bring more Olympics, or it could bring a Super Bowl, whatever. I'm just putting stuff out there.
Options. We got options when we get a good healthy city and crime.
Hey, look, as a person who's mostly been a tourist here for the past 7-8 months now, I mean, look, I go everywhere, and you know what? It didn't until you just mentioned crime. I'm like, crime? I don't know. I mean, look, I don't watch the local news, so I don't know.
You're the type of people that they target. Crime. Don't leave anything in my passenger seat. Don't leave that in the console.
Every city has. That's the thing that I hate. We're a smaller city, so we get targeted more. It's every city in the country and in the world has this terrible stuff happening. I try
But
to
St.
block
Louis
it out.
breeds you to be able to handle anywhere you go.
Well, I mean, look, I never even think. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I lock my doors. You know what I mean? Like,
Don't just lock the door. Don't keep stuff in the console.
I lock all our doors in our
Back
house.
on the floor.
I don't keep stuff. I don't do that anyway. But I'm just saying, like, crime has not even been something that's even been remotely on the radar. Like, seriously, unless you watch the news, and I'm not saying the news is good or bad, but unless you're watching the news and the first headline is there was a shooting today, like, it's not even a thing.
It's not just watching news though. It's your news feed. Like on your phone, everybody's on their phone all the time. You Instagram, Facebook, they'll put local stuff that pop up on there.
Real STL news.
I ain't messing with it.
That's fine. No words to each his own, but just be safe out there. Like I said, St. Louis breeds you to handle any other city you go to. Because I know I'm like, hell, all this we deal with home when I travel, I'm like, what else you gonna bring me? I done been down 70 so much where you don't know what you're gonna experience on Highway 70.
Right.
Downtown in the airport. So
I do take 70 to work sometimes.
He said sometimes. He had to add the sometime right at the end.
Depends
So
on
let's
what traffic's gonna be.
let's go ahead and transition. Joe brought this team up. Battlehawks. They finally took an L this past weekend, this past Sunday, as they played the DC Defenders. Both teams came, but right, Jordan Teamo is now quarterback for the Defenders, but both teams came in 2-0. It was a close game. The Battlehawks offense is improving each week, but they just couldn't. They didn't have enough to stop the Defenders. But we are 2-1. We're still one of the best teams in the league. And of course, this weekend, this Sunday is the official home opener as well. The Dome is going to be rocking. I just saw on social media that pretty much almost all the 300 section seats are almost taken up. So they're filling the Dome up, and the team is doing good. And I have a feeling that The Rock is going to be in town.
He better be. He was at every other game the first week of the league. He's in Orlando and he flew all the way up to, I don't know, somewhere
Texas.
else. I don't know. But him and his partner were in every single place that weekend, so he better be here. Shoot. I'm gonna do his move on him.
Hey, we saw that move in the Battlehawks games.
Yeah.
Right.
That was awesome.
But yeah, that game was it was a little bit of a downer because once you start seeing them 2-0, you're like, okay, they're gonna get this third win. But let's preface this by saying they were on the road for the third week in a row. I don't know, has any other team in the XFL been on 3 weeks? 3 weeks of road trips to start the season?
So the reason is not the XFL's fault. It was the Dome. They were booked up, so that's why they had to wait till this weekend to finally have a home game. The Dome was already booked up.
But
That's gonna be awesome though.
It was the game was interesting. I'm looking right now. I'm looking to buy my ticket for this weekend because I do plan to be there.
Same here. Me and the wifey plan to be there as well.
Have a football team we can all have in common.
The 300 section was like $20 at like 9 a.m. And those puppies shot up a little bit. So
they just go still today.
Oh, I have no idea. I know Coach though. Coach Beck's been all over Twitter with it.
See, I was looking on Saturday at tickets, and I was like, man, these tickets done shot up already. I knew I should have bought that ticket last week. And then the 300s weren't even open at that time, so maybe that'll make some sense.
I believe what was going on last week was that they opened up the 300s for season ticket holders, and then this past Monday they opened it up for everyone else.
Next time, T-Bone, go with your gut. How often does a seat go down? You're not buying it from StubHub at the last minute or the
lose.
Come on, get it when you see it. It's not gonna go down in price. It's really that happens.
Cardinals. I've seen $6 tickets.
Yeah, they do have that because they have, 81 games out of the year to pick from.
And because baseball stadiums, like maybe not compared to the NFL stadiums, but like Brendan was shocked that the City SC stadium only had like 26,000 seats. I'm like, that's why they're so expensive. There ain't no way in hell we're gonna make it to a City SC game with those prices. But baseball, there's there's 40,000 plus standing room, at Busch Stadium, so it makes sense. You can get cheap tickets there.
Hey, for those of y'all listening right now, you can find tickets in section 127 for $48 each. So
for Battle Hawks.
Yep, let me go ahead and get that ticket now before everybody.
Good. You better
hop on that.
Better do it.
All right, I'm waiting to see
now,
Ticketmaster fees.
Now I'm about to say, now is that Ticketmaster or a third party?
Ticketmaster.
Oh, okay, I'm
now
surprised.
Let's see what happens here now.
What the fee's gonna make it $50 more.
It's gonna shoot up to like 80.
Okay, it isn't as terrible as I thought it was gonna be. That $48 ticket has turned into $66.80.
Oh no, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's.
I can dig that. Yeah.
That's fair.
Cause look, Smooth, we brought Jamie back. The way she talking about them Lakers tickets, where I bet you them fees was more than that. She was like, we gonna see this whole game and then some, okay?
Man, yeah, we can't say nothing about complaining about nothing else we go to. That's
right.
it.
And like, she made y'all know y'all fellas better not keep complaining, but she said she paid for them tickets. She's like,
Man, yeah. But definitely all good. Once again, this is your Wednesday night sports delight. I am your boy Smooth. From the Boondocks, we have
Joe.
Right below, we have
your girl Bunny.
And to the to the right of her screen, we have
the guy ordering his Battlehawks ticket at the moment.
Sorry, I totally cut your name off. I got excited to get call.
Right. Call. So before we bring in our special guest, I want to get to a serious topic real quick, if you don't mind. We're gonna kind of jump a little bit. Ja Morant. So as you know, a couple days ago, he was on IG Live at a club, I believe, maybe after a game or whatever it was, and he flashed a gun. And after that, the Grizzlies, they have suspended him for a couple games. Now, word is, this is what I saw a source say about the NBA, is that if an NBA player is found with a gun, whether you're at, while you're with the team, you're at the arena or whatever, that it's possible that you could be suspended for 50 games. There has not been a ruling yet in regards to what his fate will be from the NBA. It was just announced recently that the Colorado, because he was in Colorado while that happened, but the police department in Colorado would not be pressing any charges, so he's good on that. But that still doesn't take away from what the NBA might do, because they can make him be an example. The thing is, Bunny, how many times have we had these conversations about these young players? And unfortunately, it's been a lot of black players as well. But how many of these young cats who's making money keep doing stuff like this? Ja Morant put a post out, saying that he's keeping going through some mental stuff going on, mental issues, and whatever he's dealing with around his circle, or how his lifestyle is. And Shaquille O'Neal just said last night how these NBA players got to stop acting like they're rappers, living this life, flashing guns, doing this, doing that, doing this and that. And then I think about, and I told my wife, I think about LeBron James and how when he was in high school and he just got drafted, he made sure that he was around people that wasn't afraid of telling him no. He made sure that his circle was tight in regards to not going to be out here doing dumb stuff, being found in the club doing this, or be part of this, or, be affiliated with that. What are your thoughts in regards to Ja Morant and what he's been doing recently? And actually, you know what? Hold off on that, Bunny, because right now we don't want to waste this man's time.
All right.
He's ready. Yes, he's ready. Give them likes, give them shares, because this is the moment that we have been waiting on, and he has no idea, but we have been waiting for this moment for, I'll probably say, at least 5 years. Is that right, Joe? About 4 or 5 years for this opportunity?
At least
we
since
are
I've been on the
definitely
show.
right. So we are definitely excited to have this man as our special guest. Get them likes, get them shares going. It's about to be an incredible moment for the Platform Sports Talk Show. But this man here is synonymous with being one of or the soundtrack of Cardinal baseball for 20 plus years. You hear him at Schnucks. You hear him, of course, going to Busch Stadium. You hear him in the car at times on commercials. And I said before on previous posts, he's an icon. He's a legend. He's been very well respected and loved. And most importantly, he's a human being. We all go through things in life, and there's no guarantee. We don't have an idea what the future may hold. He doesn't have an idea of what the future may hold. But what we do know for sure is that right now, at this moment, he is our special guest on the Platform Sports Talk Show. And we all like to bring in now the one and the only Dan McLaughlin. Danny Mac, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, Danny,
I'm doing great.
Glasses.
Well, you know, when you get old, you can't see, and I'll take them off because I can't see very well. But thanks for the intro. Way too kind. And I'm excited to be with you guys.
Yes, sir. We are definitely excited to have you on. Once again, this is a privilege. I know we've been trying to work things out to get you on the show. So we know that you're going through so much right now at this time. We just want to say from me personally, I just want to commend you for stepping out and being vulnerable on social media with the post that you left a few weeks ago. You didn't have to do it, but you did. And we hope that others who may be going through something similar or had thoughts about it can see your post and also hear what you did, what you said on 101 ESPN. Of course, unfortunately, Tim McCarver passed away, but you stepped out and you showed up on 101 ESPN, and I heard the whole interview, and it was touching, and we appreciate that. So, of course, we just want to wish nothing but the best to you in what you're going through right now, because we know it can't be easy. We can't relate to it, but we are still there to support you. But thank you so much for just being part of our vision with the Sports Talk Show, and nothing but the best for you. And we just salute you for stepping out and once again being vulnerable and letting everyone know, how you're doing, and hopefully be the advocate to prevent others from taking a similar path.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that that's the case. When I wrote it, I felt that it was important to get it out there for what I dealt with and what I deal with. And I've dealt with it for a long time. Some people knew that I deal with severe depression and anxiety, and it's not a lot of fun, I can tell you that. And it doesn't matter what walk of life that you're in. There's millions of people that deal with this, and especially males that don't talk about it and they don't get help. And so I just felt like it was important that if there was some kind of, silver lining out of this thing, if I could find something positive out of it, not positive, but just something to draw out of it, I felt like this was the way to do it. I wrote it from the heart. I wrote it in my own words. There was no PR firm. There wasn't a lawyer. I didn't want any of that stuff. I just wanted people to know where I was coming from. And I've had thousands of people since then reach out to me. I've had certain people that, there's one immediately that talked about committing suicide until he read my letter and stopped and said, I'm going to get help tomorrow, and I needed this letter. So I hope that it really does resonate with people, and I hope they get the help that they need and live a productive life, because my life is not going to stop. I'm continuing to work my podcast. I'm sure, there'll be other opportunities that are going to come up in broadcasting and outside of broadcasting. So it's to show that you can make it, you can get through this thing, and that there's light, hopefully, at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I did it.
Joe, T-Bone, Bunny. We have Danny Mac right now. We're
Danny
talking
Mac.
That's Danny Mac. That's all. That's the guy from around the way, you know.
You know.
We can
So,
take
so
believe me, you guys are making it a lot bigger deal than it is. Trust me.
Yeah, look,
I don't know about
we hear
that.
you on the intercom at Schnook. So is it really? Come on now, you got status, okay? Everybody to get a Schnooks, okay, and it's like, hey, I know that guy.
Well, I'll tell you, during the pandemic, I had a buddy of mine. He said, "You're not the voice of the Cardinals." He said, "You're the voice of the virus." He said, "Because every time I walk into Schnucks, I hear you." So, yeah, there was a lot of things to do during COVID, and I guess that was one of them. And so it was one of the things that we did behind the scenes was that for the frontline workers, I would privately get a lot of shout outs from, sports celebrities and they kind of put it on a private server for the workers that were out front, just to give them, just a jolt of confidence of, hey, you're doing a great job and we appreciate it, because so many people were wondering, how are these people making it, working 80-hour weeks and the circumstances that they were in. So that's another thing I'm proud of. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm proud of, but certainly, like as you talked about writing that letter, I am proud that I wrote it, and I'm proud of the charity work I've been able to do and will continue to do moving forward in the city of St. Louis.
So, Danny Mac, we had a super show not this past year, but in 2021, and I asked Joe. I asked everyone who was a guest that you love to have on the show, and Joe mentioned two people. One was Michelle Smallman, who we had on a few months ago for Ladies' Night. Incredible episode. So shouts out to Michelle Smallman. The second person was you. So normally when we do interviews with guests,
why was I number one?
Girls, come on now, D-Man.
Right. So, normally I'm the one who like spearheads the interviews and everything, but Joe, I know this means so much for her. So Joe, you go ahead and lead things off.
So nerve-wracking. Like I told Michelle Smallman, like it's like a celebrity. We had BT on as well one time, and that was amazing. Being able to talk to a former professional baseball player, for the St. Louis Cardinals. So this is awesome. This is like a dream interview for us. And yeah, I'm like giddy inside. My hands are a little sweaty. But okay, so I had to just do, our main question that we always do. And, it might be kind of long-winded because St. Louis has such, rich sports history. But what got what started your love of sports?
Well, I would have to say my brother and I grew up in South St. Louis, and we played every sport that you possibly could imagine. I went on to play college baseball on a baseball scholarship. And so baseball was always my first love. My brother said that I was 3 years old announcing the games in our backyard. So this is always what I wanted to do. And I tell everybody that Ozzie was my hero growing up. I mean, he still is today. When I introduced Ozzie at an event, I said, sometimes you get to meet the heroes that you don't know anything about as a kid, and then you meet them as an adult and they don't live up to the billing. And I said, I'm here to tell you, you not only live up to it, you surpassed it. And that's what Ozzie means to me still to this day. So it was people like that I just looked up to and loved sports, and always wanted to be a broadcaster. And so to do this and to have done it for a long time is a lot of fun. And it's something I'm very proud of that I was able to do. And it all stemmed from just growing up in the backyard and playing sports and gravitating towards sports. And sports was really important in my life because it kept me grounded in school, kept me going to class, kept me from doing stupid stuff. So I owe sports my entire life.
What was it like, being a broadcaster for your hometown teams?
It was great. I mean, I did it for 25 years. I hate talking about it in the past tense, but I lived a lifetime in those 25 years. I got to do what I always wanted to do. And most people never even get the chance. I got to do it for nearly 3 decades. and to work in my hometown, which is not what a lot of people get to do in this line of work. Normally, you got to go out of your state, your city, a lot of times out of your comfort zone of the sport that you're doing. So I was very, very blessed at a young age that people gave me a shot. I made the most of it, had fun with it, and so to be working in my hometown still to this day has been a blessing.
And I don't obviously like Jack Buck's that name in St. Louis, but like for this household, me and my husband, like you are our Jack Buck, you were our voice of the Cardinals. So that's why it's just so amazing to have you on the show right now. But I guess, like something that we've asked past people as well is, what was it like getting to call Yachty and Albert's final season?
That was fun. I think when you look at I loved Albert coming back to St. Louis. I thought it was good from the get-go. I know there was a lot of people. I went out on a limb and said, this is the best move they could possibly make. And I felt that way because he feeds off the energy of the crowd. And I saw him when he came back, whether it was with the Angels or with the Dodgers, he would feed off of that. And you saw glimpses of the old Albert. I just thought if he came back home to St. Louis, you might get some glimpses of that. And I thought in the second half of the season, he might have been the best hitter in baseball. It was unbelievable to see what he did. So to be able to call so many of his moments in the prime of his career, and then the final season that he was in St. Louis was really special for me. And then I called all of Yachty from 2004 all the way through 22, and saw him mature as a young kid to being an all-star, to then at the very end kind of being the elder statesman that he was, and just an incredible catcher. I mean, I don't think I'll ever see a better defensive catcher in my life. And I always say when I talk about Albert, he's the best right-handed hitter of his generation. And I know there'll be some people that give you blowback on that. They'll say Miguel Cabrera, or you could look at Mike Trout, and certainly they're all in the conversation. But just having watched him day in and day out, to see it up close, to see the adjustments he made, how he adjusted with his body. He's the best right-handed hitter I've ever seen, and probably be the best right-handed hitter I ever see. So it was awesome to do that final year.
And I wanted to say I was almost in tears whenever you weren't the one to call Albert's 700th homer. I know you were on the radio, but me and my husband were like, we were jumping up and down. We were watching the game out on our deck and, going crazy, hit his second one. And then like we stopped for a second. We're like, Danny Mac didn't get to call it. And then I wanted to cry. So like, I know you were there on the radio with the KMOX guys, but I don't know, like, what was that experience like? At least you still got to witness it.
Yeah, I mean, we all three were on the call. I was not doing that. It was my inning to do the play-by-play, and there was no way I was going to do it, because that's, if I'm not the everyday guy, then I'm not going to take that away from somebody else that should be the everyday guy is John Rooney or Rick Horton. So I just said, here to tell you about history, here's John Rooney. And but it was great because all three of us chimed in with things to commemorate 700. John had a great call. Ricky was great in kind of describing what was happening after that. And then I just kind of chimed in my own thoughts. So it's rare, obviously, that you're going to see 700 home runs, and to be there in person was great. But I didn't care whether I called it or not. Would I have liked to have called it? Sure, of course. I think anybody would. But did it really matter to me? Not really. I was just thrilled for Albert, thrilled for the city, and thrilled for the franchise that he had such a glorious moment, and it was back in a Cardinal uniform. And I think that was the most impactful part of it, and most important part of it is that he did it back with the St. Louis Cardinals, which was so cool.
Yeah, it was so weird seeing him in the Angels and the Dodgers uniforms. Tim McCarver. Can we get lucky and have you do one of his, little Tim McCarver line?
Well, I got to tell you, it's great being on your show. It's great. he'd be slapping something.
I love it so much. It's
He,
crazy. It's like you're one of the first people, that I thought about whenever that news broke. And
yeah,
the red scarf on opening day, you
Yeah.
making fun of that, and it's so many good fun stories.
he's one of my best friends. I miss him dearly, and I'm very sad about it. But he lived an incredible, incredible life with the amount of travel that he did, and he made everything an adventure. When we were together, we'd be on the road together, and it'd be something unique. And he'd want to go experience it, and we go experience it together, whether it was going out to a restaurant or playing golf, seeing something, doing whatever. The people that we met, it was just amazing. I can tell when we've been out to dinner, we had Cal Ripken come to our table, not us go to Cal Ripken. We're sitting in Chicago, and Scotty Bowman sees Tim McCarver. He gets up from his table, Scotty Bowman, and comes over and says hello to us because of Tim. And that's the kind of reverence that he had in sports for so many people, and treated me incredibly well. I felt like it was really important when he got to St. Louis that there was a young generation of fans that didn't realize how good of a player he was, and was part of some great teams. And he caught one of the best right-handed pitchers ever in Bob Gibson, and had tons of starts with him, and then caught Steve Carlton, one of the best lefties in the history of the game. So he also played in 4 different decades, which not a lot of people recognize with him, which is amazing. So I felt like when he got back to St. Louis, it was important to kind of educate the younger audience of what he meant to the Cardinal franchise as a player, because their impression was he was always on the top game. So he was always doing the playoffs or the World Series. And as you know, Cardinals don't win every single year. So a fan says, well, I hate the broadcaster. That guy sucks. I don't like him. I don't like it. He's negative, whatever. So I just felt like when he came back, it should be welcoming him back into the Cardinal family. And I think I did that, and I'm very proud of the broadcasts that we had, because they were a lot of fun. And he was kind of like your crazy uncle next to me, and I'm the young guy doing my thing, even though I'm not young. And it just worked. And we had great respect for each other. And I guess it was 7 or 8 years that we worked together, and they're some of the most memorable years of my career. Right? They were just awesome.
And real quick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, Joe. I have a question. Going back to broadcasting, this is something I've always wanted to ask you. I know you've been so loyal to doing work for the Cardinals and for St. Louis. I'm pretty sure because you're such a talented announcer that you probably had a slew of offers from like maybe ESPN or Fox, the main network, etc. Do you see, and if the opportunity arises, do you see yourself maybe now seeing about those opportunities from maybe ESPN or Fox or whatever other network, TNT or Turner or something like that?
Well, I don't think many people know this. I used to work at ESPN when I was doing the Cardinals. So I did that for many years. I did college baseball, college football. I did baseball, football, basketball, and baseball. I did a ton of events for them throughout the year. So I've been there and done that. I've done Fox Saturday Baseball. I did Fox NFL Sunday. And to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know where my career is going to take me. I don't know if it's going to continue in broadcasting. I guess time will tell. I just don't know. I'm really taking my time on what I want to do with my life. I've got 4 children, and they mean everything to me. I got a beautiful wife, and the majority of my life has been spent on the road or in a hotel room, even outside of doing baseball. So I was doing a lot of different events and not around a lot. And I've missed a lot of time, and I want to spend some time with them. And then at that point, kind of reevaluate and see what I want to do.
Okay, cool. Can I ask a question? Not directly with what you're talking about here, but you just mentioned some of the work you did was college baseball. So could you ever imagine 10 years ago that your alma mater, Lindenwood University, would be a Division I school?
That's a really good question. I haven't been asked that. I thought that they would move up. because not to Division I though. I wasn't. The Division I thing is really interesting to me because when I went there, we were NAIA.
Okay.
And we had really good players. Not me, but others. I was terrible. I just love playing baseball. But but some of the guys I played with were really, really good, and they were Division I type players. And back then, if you were maybe not grades wise, that kind of stuff, ran into trouble, whatever, you could find eligibility with NAIA. So we had a lot of good players that really were just looking for a chance. That we had one that was at Tennessee. We had, I think, a guy that was playing at Miami. We had another guy. I mean, they were really good players. So I thought as the campus was growing, and I was there when they started doing a lot of the construction and building out and it's a beautiful campus. The original campus is awesome. But they started building out, and I just thought, man, it's growing so big. It's growing fast. It's growing by leaps and bounds. I could see them being a D2, which they did, and then to go to D1. I guess to answer your question, I'm making this long-winded, but I didn't anticipate that. But I think it's great. I think it's great for the school. I think it's great for the kids that want an opportunity to play and are good enough to play and to stay at home. And with the transfer portal now the way it is set up in college, you're going to get some good kids. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're able to get some good kids. I'm not saying they're going to go out and win, a football national championship, but they can be highly competitive, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do.
Okay. So it sounds like because you have this baseball background from when you said 3 years old and your brother backyard, you weren't the best college player out of your worst, but would scouting be in the cards for you as a different hobby / side career, the game.
I don't think so. No.
The game backwards and forwards, though. You see those players on the field. You know what? The defensive shit. You know the game. So,
I know the game enough to be dangerous. So that's what I put it. Those guys that do the draft, they're incredible. Like how they're able to integrate the analytics with also just baseball IQ. What kind of human being it is? Do you fit in the organization? What are your parents like? What was the climate that you played in? I mean, there's all these factors that Randy Flores and his staff do, and it's incredible. And to their credit, they keep coming up with players. And they're not drafting number 1. They're not drafting 5th. They're not drafting 10th. They're drafting, middle or down in the first round and subsequent rounds after that. So it's really they've got that thing down to a science. And if I ran a franchise, I've always said it, we'd be in last place. We'd probably be $50 million over budget, and I'd get fired really fast. So I was happy with just what I was doing.
You say that about like what type of human being that kid is, and it might have been MLB Network talking about Jordan Walker, and They mentioned 2 names, and I don't like hearing these 2 names because it gets me excited and like overexcited. He's 20 years old. You don't know what you're going to get from him. We would like to hope he's going to be these 2 players, but like human being wise, they were saying he's kind of like an Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge you can just tell he's a good guy when he talks, and they were also mentioning the name Mike Trout. I don't like hearing that, but just because those are the game's best right there. But what have you been seeing from Jordan Walker? I know you're watching these games. Like, are you excited about this?
I haven't watched one game.
What?
So
I feel bad then. I haven't seen Danny Mack got me off the hook for being a diehard Cardinals fan. I haven't seen no spring training, so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I haven't had time. I'm doing other things with my life, and so right now I just haven't really been paying attention. But just from what I know, going into this season, he's a great human being by all accounts. From people I talk to, they just say he's about as good of a person that you're going to find, and he's only 20. And he's still growing into his body. That's the incredible thing to me, is like he's he's a kid inside a man's body. I mean, I think about when I was 20 years old, I was like, are you kidding me? I couldn't be, doing a 1% of probably what he's doing. So it's about drafting. I think the good person would be the icing on the cake, but the number one thing is that you're trying to accumulate talent. And if you're a talented guy and you're a good person, that's great. If you're a talented guy and not maybe such a great person, okay. I mean, but still, it's about, I need to find the best talent I can and put them on the field. And so if you can combine both, which by all accounts, he is, I mean, that's the perfect combination. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, you can tell he's just the way he talks and holds himself, is you can tell he's a good kid, and it's just crazy. He even said on MLB that everything has him at 6'5", but he's actually 6'6". And
Oh, wow.
he's just, and like you said, he's still growing. So I'm hoping he's looking good, Danny Mac. I'm just letting you know he's looking really good. He had a base hit off of Garrett Cole today, and it's exciting. It's only like week 2, week 3, but I'm hoping he's there on opening day. That'd be exciting to see.
Well, I think what's cool is that the Cardinals have produced, I'm not saying that he's the next Albert Pujols. I never would put that kind of pressure on a kid that's 20 years old, but it seems like the sky's the limit with him. And if you go back from Yachty and Albert, which was into McGuire, and McGuire led into the, Ozzie was in 96, McGuire was 97. Ozzie goes back into the early 80s, which leads into, guys that were really good in the 70s, which leads to the 60s, so on and so forth. There's always been for the Cardinals a face of the franchise. Now, I'm not saying he's the face of the franchise, but what I am saying, that is a passing of the torch, and eventually he could be the face of the franchise. And the Cardinals have always had at least one player through all these years that tie in to somebody that you want to go watch. And it's kind of like the Kevin Bacon thing, where you kind of go to this, and it all relates back to Kevin Bacon. There's kind of a way to do that with the Cardinals when you start thinking about the individuals that bleed into the other individuals, and the time either it ended in 96 and you went to 97 and McGuire, or in certain cases, it kind of bled over into each other. Like Holiday played with Albert and played with those guys and was kind of the face of it for a while. And then it led to another player. Yachty was there. So they've had that, and I think that's what makes the organization very, very special.
Who do you think that is going into this year? Because, I mean, obviously we have Nato and Goldie, but we have a lot of young kids on this team too. And I like to throw Tommy Edmonds' name out there when it comes to, a good human being. He does everything right, and he's been very productive since he came up in 2019. He's very underrated.
Yeah, he's a very good player. I think that to answer your question, though, it would be Goldie or Arenado. And with Goldie winning the MVP last year, and there's few and far between that win that, even with a historic franchise like the Cardinals. Albert did it. Keith Hernandez did it. You've had others that have done it, but it's very, very tough to win. And I would say that he is right now the face of the franchise. Very stoic, but he is, and in all business, and so is Nolan Arenado. But I think, I just think that that's something that you have to look at with this team, is that those guys are in the primes of their career, and it shouldn't be put on a young player to be the face of the franchise, at least in my opinion. And it should be put on guys that are sticking around, have dedicated themselves to the franchise, and have signed long-term deals, which they've been able to do. And I see it in the chat here. I'm willing to stay. Yes.
Okay. Sounds perfect. We love it. So once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. I am the boy Smooth, along with up top you have.
We start with me, Joe.
There we go. Right below.
T-Bone.
She's laughing right now.
I'm sorry. Because I didn't know that was attention to the chat. I'm sorry. It's your girl, Buddy. I mean, your eyes were working fast. I'm like. And
we have special guest.
Danny Mac.
So it's all you. It's all you, Danny Mac.
Oh yeah, it's me. I'm here.
That's all he needs is Danny Mac. It's me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hey, I showed
It's
it for
me.
the show tonight.
No,
I call
no
him Danny Mac.
introduction needed.
I didn't know
There
I was
we go.
supposed to
Like
introduce
he's
it.
the
Okay, I'm
voice from the
sorry.
hood.
You should see Tom Ackerman every time. He's like,
Oh
now,
man,
now
Tom,
he gets like a baseball and it's like Tom Ackerman.
Yeah, Tom
Right,
is funny.
yeah, we've had Tom Ackerman on for I think 3 times now. So
Yeah, he's
that's been
funny.
pretty
Him
awesome.
and what's the other sports writer for the Post?
Hockman.
Ben Hoffman. Yeah, he's funny too.
Mhm.
Hockman. So I do have a question. Ali Marmol, what sets him apart, do you feel, between him and Mike Matheny and Mike Ship?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think Ollie is really good in communication in terms of, and I'm not saying the other two aren't, so I don't like to compare them. So I'm not going to compare them. I'm just going to go with what I know with Ollie. He's great as communication. He's very upfront with the player, and he may tell the player something that the player doesn't want to hear or like, but at least he's honest. And all from my experience of being around athletes or athletics at a high level, players, all they want is honesty. If you can be honest with them and say, hey, here are the expectations, and if you don't get to these expectations, don't expect to play. If you can do that and hold people accountable, players will play hard for you. And so I think that's his best asset, is that his honesty, which at times can be very blunt, is a great asset, because players just want to know where they stand with the manager, with the coaching staff. And if they're not getting the job done, then they know they're not getting the job done, but the coaching staff will let you know too. And so I do think by him being as upfront and honest and blunt at times, and he's blunt in the media sometimes, I think that's a good thing. And I think that that's one of his best qualities in terms of trying to relate to younger players, older players, those in between, because he's able to get to them and get to them at a level where they respect him. And ultimately, that's what you want from your players.
Sorry, I had to get off mute here. Sorry. I am again happy to have the opportunity to ask a question here. So, we talked about how you grew up, in the sports and played baseball, but what was the transition of getting into broadcasting? Like, what was that journey like, especially early on?
Well, I was dating a girl in college at that time that was involved in the communications department. And she's like, this is what you always wanted to do. You ought to try, getting involved in mass communications. And it was an emphasis in radio, TV. And at that time, Lindenwood had a really good program, and they still do. They have a fantastic program for broadcasting. And so I got involved there. And one of the things, and I just dove into anything. It was reading news, being a DJ, doing sports updates, play-by-play of high school, college events. If they were gonna allow me to get behind a mic, I was there to do it. And so the thing that I loved was that they allowed me to do pretty much anything I wanted to do. And that's why I did what I did. And through the program, there was a class that you could take at KMOX, and it was just a editing program. And you guys are all young. When you used to edit, you used to have to take a razor blade and take the reel-to-reel tape and all of a sudden cut it and figure out where you're supposed to cut it and then tape it. Literally, that's how you did it. So they pulled me out of that class, and the program director said, hey, how would you like to be a producer at KMOX? And I was probably 19, 20 years old, something like that. And I said, sure. And that meant like just running the knobs for basketball and baseball and football and stuff like that, and producing for Mr. Garden, Mr. Tinker, and answering the phones. And so that's how I got my start. They thought I was a hard worker, and away I went, and the rest is history.
Wow. So I have a question, not directly to what T-Bone was saying. So back in your college years, you just said you DJ. Can I ask Dan D Mac as your DJ name to spin a little something? Can you put a little mixtape together of, I don't know, is it rock, country?
No, man.
Emo, opera, what?
Hey, so back at KCLC, 89.1 FM, which was the station, college station. And they didn't play any music that any young person would like. Okay, so I think it was by design. It was like smooth something, smooth jazz, but it was like old. It was just not what you'd want. It was like elevator music. You know what I mean? And so it was hard to be a good DJ and say, you know, Susie Q coming up with The Lighter Breeze on 89.1. You know, I was like, come on, man, I don't want to do that. I want to call a basketball game. But to go call a basketball game, I had to say, Cool Breeze is coming up on 89.1. So I did it. But if I was doing it now, I would like, you know, T-Grizz. I'd mention, I go with country a little bit, rock. I like a little bit. I like old 70s music. I like it all. I don't know what I'd spin because I like it all.
The guy you need to talk to for that is Fred. I have two quick questions. One is, who's the coolest person you've met? So, you know, doing the whole broadcasting and not even just baseball, but I know you do some blues stuff as well.
Yeah, my mom. Seriously.
Your mom? Is there a reasoning to it?
She raised me. She's great. I love her to death. She was a nurse, had to work her ass off to help my brother and I get through certain things that we dealt with as kids, helped us get through school. So she's the coolest person. There's not an athlete that comes to mind for me.
Well, I like that answer because no one's ever said anything like that before. And it's International Women's Day or whatever. So to all you moms out there, that's cool. I like that. And then
I'll give you one.
One.
I mean, if you wanted if you want an athlete, interviewing Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky was one of my favorite players growing up. I think he's like the Babe Ruth of hockey. I think he's amazing. And I've had the chance to interview him. So I would say being around him doing an interview was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, that's all right. What about Ovi? You think he's gonna pass him?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
all
do.
right. Okay, that's the smart answer. I think I got an uncle who he's like
That
so
isn't a
stuck in
smart
the.
answer.
No, that's the right answer. My uncle's just, which rightfully so. Gretzky, like you said, is the Ruth of hockey, but there's just some people they're gonna pass up the greats, and that's one of them. But you mentioned that you haven't watched any Cardinals games. So have you watched any Battlehawks or the soccer games thus far?
I've watched the soccer games because I'm very proud of the fact that I went in front of the Board of Aldermen and spoke and was pretty passionate about why I thought MLS and why the Taylor family and Kavanaugh ownership group, Tom Strunk's a part of it, why I thought that this could work. My youngest son plays pretty high level soccer. I know how much he loves it. So I've watched those games. I've not seen Battlehawks, but I plan on going down and watching a game and taking my kids. But, you know, I just, my life was sports for so long, and I still am involved in sports and doing podcasts, and I love golf. I'm really involved in golf. But yeah, in terms of just watching sports, watching the MLS and seeing that come to fruition, and having a very, very small part of trying to help that has been gratifying for me. And I'm thrilled for the city. The city's gotten behind it, and it's really, really cool.
So the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
Prior to the pandemic, you know, our show has been going on strong. It'll be 6 years officially next month. But we started our show, you know, it was just me and Sadal, shout to him. And we wasn't at the level that we were at now. But once that pandemic hit, all of a sudden people who may not have been available at that time became available because everything was pretty much shut down. And that really pretty much propelled our show to get to bigger and better heights. And now we have someone like yourself on. In regards to Scoops with Danny Mac that you have been doing now, would you say it was the pandemic that helped you push this along to get to where it is now?
Actually, no. The pandemic really hurt me from just a business side. So I had started the podcast anticipating that there would be a work stoppage in baseball. And so I was like, I want to do something. I want to stay busy. And I thought the work stoppage was going to happen, which we did have, but we didn't lose any games, thank goodness. But I started that prior to the pandemic to do that, to anticipate that it was going to get nasty in the work stoppage. And because of that, I thought I want to have a side business. And that's why I did it. And trying to do a sports website where you're paying other people and they're relying on you, you got to have sponsors. And a lot of sponsors were dropping during the pandemic because my sponsors were restaurants and bars and hotels. Well, if you think about it, all that stuff was shut down. So what's the first thing that they're going to cut in advertising? They're going to cut advertising. So that to save money, which I fully understand. I totally get it. So the pandemic hurt in that regard. However, I was proud because the people that worked for me never missed a check, paid them in full, and we tried to make it through, and we did. And so through a pandemic, we were able to take the website and make it through. I was able to hire Bernie Miklasz, which was great. I think he's an unbelievable writer. Started a show on Channel 2, which was cool. I had fun with that. And then just doing podcasts and things of that nature where, like you said, you were able to get a lot of people on because of the fact that things were shut down. So being able to do that was cool. I still enjoy it. And it's something it's kind of a labor of love for me. So it keeps me in the game and it keeps me at least paying attention. Like I'll watch some games when they start firing up for real. But at this point, it's just different things in my life that interest me.
And we had the opportunity of about 2 months ago or so to have the great John Hewlett on our show. And I asked him this question and definitely want to get your opinion because you worked with him. Is Brad Thompson the next big, or if now, big St. Louis media star, in your opinion?
Oh, I've thought that Brad is great from the first time I worked with him because he's humble. He's a super nice person, and he's excellent in terms of his personality. And in that seat as an analyst, I think you got to have personality, and he's got it. And he loves the Cardinals and he loves his job. So yeah, he's the kind of guy that I think that people will really gravitate towards, embrace him, and he'll become, if he's not already, one of their own. And so I'm thrilled for Brad. I know he's getting more games, I think, this year, and he'll do a hell of a job. He's fantastic at what he does.
Love me
Awesome.
some BT. He makes me laugh all the time.
He's a very, very funny guy. He's very bright on his feet. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
So this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. This is a safe space, okay? Just us, okay? Danny Mac, Wayno, Adam Wainwright. In my opinion, I feel that he should have went on and left with Pujols and Molina. He said that at the end of last year, he found the issue that was going on. Then, if you don't know, last game, the spring training, he said that he's going through some back spasms. He hasn't hit 90 miles per hour yet. Do you feel that? Well, I feel that sometimes being so optimistic can kind of cloud your judgment in regards to, should I keep going or should I go ahead and let go? I may be in a minority, but I personally felt that the Cardinals should have prioritized maybe re-signing Jose Quintana first before bringing back Wainwright or whatever. That's just my opinion, because I know that people are gonna say, well, he got to come back in his last year. You got to do it right. I just feel like maybe he was too optimistic and he's trying to push himself more than what he should be doing, and should just ride in the sunset with Pujols and Molina. And now he's pitching Friday supposedly for World Team USA. Just as a fan sitting back now, do you feel that he should have went on and left with Pujols and Molina?
I don't. Now time will tell, and they paid him a lot of money to come back, and a lot of that I think is because of legacy. I don't live in his shoes. You don't. We all don't. And I got to think and wonder if 200 wins, even though wins are not what they used to be, I don't quite believe that. I still am a believer in wins, and I understand all the other metrics and analytics and all that stuff, and I get it. There's some different factors that help you win. I mean, you could be awful that night, and your team goes out and scores 15 runs, and you give up 9 in 5 innings, and you qualify for a win. So I get it. But I think that's an elusive number in this day and age. And if you can get there, I think you go for it. And I also am a big believer that I would tell any athlete this, that if it's not out of your system, don't quit. Because once you quit, once you retire, it's over. They're not going to bring you back when you're 62. So they're going to have to rip the jersey off of me for a lot of guys. And I think he's one of those kind of guys, and has squeezed the most out of his body that he possibly can. And he's had an amazing career. And I think he's close to the Hall of Fame. And that's another aspect of this too. He's without a doubt a Cardinal Hall of Famer. That's a slam dunk. But in terms of baseball's Hall of Fame, he's going to have a shot. And I don't think I started bringing this up a couple of years ago, and people were thinking I was crazy, and now it's being talked about. And I felt and still feel, if you look at the full body of work of what he's done, and he's been on successful teams, there's a shot at baseball's Hall of Fame. He's going to get a really hard look at it, and he should. But I think if he can finish off with a decent season and get over 200 wins or at 200, there's a really good shot that he gets in. So that's why I would think that he did this. Now, if you were saying he was at 110 wins and there had been a lot of injury, and he's had a lot of injuries, but I mean, even more so than what he's had, then I'd be more leaning in your camp. But because of the things I mentioned, I think that's one of the reasons why he's back for one final year, and the spotlight will be on him. It's not going to be a trio. It's just on him. And I think that's something that's good for him too.
I think he's kind of there too. Like whenever Yachty had his moments of away from the team last year, the guys just wanted just him there in general. And I think, that's something that Waino's like, because after Waino's gone next year, like we have Goldie and Nato as that better presence, and even Contreras now. But Waino's like that one last pillar, that to me, it's like that's Cardinals baseball. They've been there my entire life. So he's just a good veteran presence in the clubhouse as well. And you mentioned the Hall of Fame. There's that new podcast called Foul Territory with like AJ Przinsky and Eric Kratz and Adam Jones. They asked him if they thought he was a Hall of Famer, and he gave the best answer, I think, is nowadays he thinks he has a shot, because they vote so differently now, and that 200 win mark is definitely, if he gets that, then I think that he's probably going to make it at some point. Not a first ballot. He's not, Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander, but I think he's definitely going to be there if he reaches that 200 wins.
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, if you got to 300 back in the day, you're in. But I don't know if we're ever going to see a 300 game winner anymore. And wins, unfortunately, have been devalued in the last few years as we've gotten deeper into analytics, and as more people have an understanding into analytics, which I understand. And voters change too, because you're going to have a younger generation of writers coming through that value the analytics, maybe more so than they do wins. And when you say that, I think there's some things that they will look at that will, for instance, the fact that he was injured for a couple of full seasons, essentially. You had the Tommy John, he had the Achilles, but the innings, the strikeouts, championship team, teams that made it to postseason, and then also what he did in postseason. I don't think you can overlook what he did in 06 and in closing out 3 different postseason series, including the World Series, that has to stand for something. So I just think there's a lot of factors that are in his corner, and I think he's got a good shot. I really do.
That's awesome. Well, this has definitely been an honor to have you on the Sports Talk Show. T-Bone, did you have any last questions?
No, I knew everybody else wanted to get those questions off. So, I hadn't earned my St. Louisness enough back to ask enough questions here. I've been away for a while, so I'm glad
you can ask anything you want.
Oh no, you've asked. Look, some of the questions that have been asked already were questions that I would have been thinking about. Learning about how you got your start in broadcasting. What that was. I know a lot of people out there, especially younger listeners or viewers, especially those watching on the Roku or the Hot 365 radio. Anyway, a lot of them out there, may want to hear about how people got their start. So, and Bunny asked a question about what your DJ name would have been, which would have been exactly what I would have asked. I mean, you got a pretty good DJ name if you think about it. I mean, you could go with DJ DM. You could get in the DMs. Want to send it to my DMs? You know what I mean? Like, I think that
Maybe I need to hire you as an agent.
Hey, look, I'm for hire for anything. You know what I mean?
Let's go right here on the Platform Sports Talk Show. We make a history.
D-Mac is the DJ name right there.
I like that
as simple as it gets. Quick question. I wanted to parallel 2 sports real quickly. So basketball, NBA, baseball. So when LeBron was coming up, you know how you just compare Jordan Walker, not you, but everybody's giving Jordan Walker the hype. He's next best thing. We don't know how far he's going to go, but he has a lot of potential. Remember LeBron was coming up from high school. We saw him on national TV, let alone when he got to the Cavs, and how his career took off and it's been good as it was hyped up. Do you think Jordan Walker is going to be the same way, parallel to how LeBron was? All the hype early and it panned out.
No, I think there'll be hype locally with Jordan. And I think that some national people obviously are going to pick up on it. Those that are watching baseball and those guys that are and gals that just dive into minor league baseball, they're going to know about him. But LeBron, to me, was in a stratosphere all himself. I mean, everybody knew that he was kind of the next guy coming. And I mean, the next guy. I mean, you still have question marks with Jordan Walker to an extent in the fact that in baseball and basketball, a little bit different, obviously, but you just knew LeBron was going to go out and probably dominate the sport. And I'm not saying that Jordan Walker won't, but I think it's tough to say. I guess if there was an equivalent to LeBron and coming out and what he would do once he got to the pro game, it was Bryce Harper. You had heard so much about Bryce Harper. He had been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He had graduated high school early so that he could go to college and play at a junior college. And you heard so much about him. And he was trying to get draft eligible before anybody else. And the guy is an absolute stud. And he's turned out to be a stud. So I think that would be the comp. And I think that Jordan Walker would be in the conversation of, here's a group of great players that are coming through, because there is great athleticism right now in the sport of baseball with the young players. And I think you'd lump him in with that. So to say he'd be compared to LeBron, I think is a little too much, but is he in that group of great young players coming through? Absolutely.
I have a 2-part question. One, can you give us a behind the scenes of your daily routine in regards to, let's say it was a 7:00 game at Busch Stadium, your routine behind the scenes, getting ready to set up to announce a baseball game? And then 2, how tough was it during that COVID year to do games at an empty Busch Stadium and in the studio when they were on the road?
I'll do the second one first. It was really tough. You weren't there when you were doing it in the studio. You didn't have atmosphere. There were a lot of times you couldn't see the baseball where it was going. So you just had to guess and try to do the best that you could. And I tried my best. I thought I pulled it off pretty well. And, you just sit there and said, there were times I said, I think there was one time it was I called a home run and it was a double. And I just said, I can't see the ball. I don't know. Just like you guys at home, I have no idea what the hell's going on. And I just made fun of it. And so I had fun with that. It was hard though. I mean, when we did home games and there's nobody there and you're trying to get some kind of atmosphere, it was bizarre. It was weird getting to the booth. There was dust at a lot of places. I remember being out in the concourse or at least going up some stairs or something to get to the booth, and guys are taking batting practice in the concourse. It was just bizarre. I mean, where you go get your hot dog, your soda, your Cracker Jack, whatever, there was batting cages and they're taking BP. I mean, it was just, the whole thing was weird. Hopefully, knock on wood, by God, we never have something like that again. In terms of getting ready for a game, I would start early in the morning, researching, reading. I get to the ballpark on the road. I get to the ballpark by 1 or 2 o'clock. At home, I get there by about 2, and usually do some notes on my scorecard. Go down and talk to Ollie. Go down and talk to some players. Come back up, finish my notes, and by 7 o'clock, it was time to go. But there was hours of preparation prior to the first pitch for sure.
That's awesome. Can you tell us about probably one of the funniest moments during that COVID season when there are no fans, but there was a particular bird that was in Big Mac land ironing clothes, and you and Brad Thompson just had a moment. Just tell us about that.
I think if you asked Harrison Bader hit the home run, and I think if you asked anybody, they would say that's once in a million that you're going to be able to hit Fred Bird up in the upper deck in a live game. Now in BP, these guys are so good, probably somebody could have hit him, or at least been close to him. And I can't remember the line that Brad used, but he said something to the effect of something about a bird doing something to somebody's windshield, and how big that dropping may be from Fred Bird or something stupid like that. And I started laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. And just the whole thing. I mean, that was as bizarre as it gets. You got Fred Bird doing his thing, and there it is. And he winds up getting hit. That was just weird, bizarre, and funny all at the same time.
That was just a weird year in general.
You should put all these stories together, because that's a podcast.
I'm about to say that's a podcast worthy episode right there.
You were talking about going up the stairs, and you're like, these guys doing batting practice. First of all,
I was like, what the?
Because you have the professional voice, it already sounded like the sound bite that they would give for a promo for a podcast. Like the season that wasn't the 2020 baseball season.
I'm good, man.
I'm like, what in the pandemic is going on here? BP concourse where everybody hot. Wait, what? I'm in the twilight zone.
I'm just trying to be a dad, man. That's all I'm trying to do.
Tell us real quickly, if you don't mind, about that famous home run call for Matt Holliday when he hit his last home run, or second to last home run, I guess, at Busch Stadium.
Well, it was his last home run in a Cardinal uniform, so it was his second to last hit. It was such a great moment. I know Matt very well, and I knew that he did so much in our community that people had no idea about, with sick kids and families that dealt with really adverse situations. So I knew I'd gotten word that this was going to be his final. They had a chance to pick up an option in his contract. They were not going to do it. And I had gotten word privately from some people that they were going to try to get him into a game that weekend. And he hadn't played in a couple weeks. He had been hurt. Really hadn't taken BP, and I just thought the moment was just one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in sports. To see this guy with tears in his eyes come to the plate and hits a home run, and he had hit home runs for kids too that people didn't know about, that he would send people out to go get the ball, and he'd be driving home, would stop off at a hospital and give it to kids. I mean, he's the real deal. And so and I think his impact has been tremendous in St. Louis. It's an impact that's still felt today through Homers for Health. And so I was just like a fan. I was out of my seat and just going crazy for him because he's a friend. And I just thought it was just one of the great moments that we've had at Busch Stadium.
I just love how Jim Evans, he just kind of like, because like you kind of knew that was going to happen, but then you were in awe that happened. All you could do was just.
He had no idea that was going to happen.
I don't know, like you had a feeling
No.
that something amazing, maybe not that, but like even like when Diaz hit that granny after Jose Fernandez passed away, you know, like just something like this. That's just baseball, though. To me, that's just only that type of stuff happens in baseball. So, but I don't know. I still cry a little bit whenever I watch that Matt Holliday homer, just because it's baseball. That's all I can really say about it. And then him hugging Yachty and Waino, like his giant forearms just crushing them, crying, and yeah, it's still one of my favorite calls.
Crying in baseball? What do you mean?
Well, there's 100% crying in baseball, especially in this household.
Yeah, that definitely was a special moment. And Danny Mac, you've been a part of so many great special moments. And I know you brought up earlier, as Joe asked about last season, but that moment when Ollie came out, moments like this, of course, for Matt Holliday, this was when he hit the home run. But last year you had that famous moment where Pujols, Molina, and Yachty walked out for the last time during the last game of the season. I know that moment right there had to touch you as well.
Yeah, I don't get overly sentimental about that stuff. I mean, I thought it was cool. I thought it was great for the fans. I thought when Albert came back and hit a home run in an Angels uniform, that was pretty cool. And I think just because for me it was the build up to it, you knew that it was going to happen, right? And with Albert, you didn't know that was going to happen. And I think I said he's given us, I don't know, something, a great moment. I don't script calls, and he's just given us another. I was actually kind of emotional with that, and seeing the crowd's reaction to him, the long-standing ovation, the celebration of him coming back. That to me was more emotional than seeing the three walk off. I thought it was really cool. Don't get me wrong, and it was a iconic moment in Cardinals history for sure. But it was build up to it. You knew it was going to happen. You knew they were going to try to do something cool with those guys, and they did. But to me, the spontaneous moments in sports are what sometimes gets me emotional, more so than the build up of something like that. But it was cool.
Definitely was. And what's cool was having you as our special guest. It has definitely been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the platform Sports Talk Show. As I said before, I definitely personally just want to commend you for everything that you've been doing all these last few weeks, just being an advocate, speaking your truth, and being 100, because that's what the people need right now. So we thank you very much for being on our show and taking time out to be with us. And did you have any special shout outs before you go?
Just to you guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and appreciate your support. Obviously, very, very much. It's been a tough time, but I'll get through it. Life moves on, and just got to stay tough. That's all there is to it.
Well, once again, we definitely appreciate it. We did tag you earlier, so if you don't mind, just doing a little retweet of the show so more people can see this incredible interview and hear your story be told. And hope that we can do more stuff with you in the future. Any last words, T-Bone, Bunny Joe?
Yeah, you said Twitter, but do you have an Instagram page or no?
I don't know. I think I got to Danny Mac Instagram. Never go on.
Yeah, you do. You have scoops with Danny Mac.
Because I was trying to find out, I was like, what the heck is it? Okay.
I just know favorites. I just scroll. I don't really post.
Well, hopefully next time when you come back, because hopefully there will be a next time that you come back here, it'd be interesting to do because, my favorite Cardinals game of all time is probably the same as a lot of people out there, which would be Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. And, we've heard the call that happened on television a lot, but it'd be good to kind of do a watch along and hear you call, Game 6 of the 2011 World Series.
Oh, no.
He would have to script some things out.
I leave that to the national pros. They did a great job. I could not do any better, and I'd screw it up.
I would say I always thought you would fit in perfectly with MLB The Show.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, well, you tell them if they want to hire me, I'm available.
All right.
Not a problem.
Hold on, real quick. Hold on. Let me holler them real quick.
Look, we got connections.
I just want to say, Danny Mac, this has been awesome. You're up there with Michelle Smallman and Randy Carricker that we've had on the show. BT, dream come true. So thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.
And I hope I get to run into you and to, since you do volunteer stuff, and I know you get asked for speaking engagements. I hope I get to run into you in person. I always put you with, of course, radio, TV, little basketball blues, but I want to meet D Mac in person.
Well, you can come out to my golf tournament. It's in October.
Okay.
We've raised over $5 million for kids with special needs, and I'm very proud of that. This will be the 21st year I'll put it on, and it's out at Norwood Hills, and it's the second Monday, I believe, Columbus Day, second Monday in October. So if you're bored, come on out.
Bored? You don't hear my background, do you? You have 4, so double tough for you, but cool beans. Second one, great.
So once again, Danny Mac, thank you very much, and God bless you.
Hey, you too. Thank you so much.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Man, guys, we had the one and only Danny Mac on the Platform Sports Talk Show.
No, his street name is D Mac. Now I told you I renamed him.
D Mac.
That's a DJ name for him.
DJ D Mac, or as T-Bone said, DM. I like that.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was cool. And what was so amazing about this interview is that him and I, we've been going back and forth in regards to the day and the time frame. And at first it was an hour, then he said half an hour. So we was like, let's see what we can do. But it all worked out in God's plan. And we had him longer than we expected, and we got all our questions out, and we had a good time. So definitely a highlight for the Platform Sports Talk Show. And I hope that people like Miss Dove, who's tuned in, everyone else can share. And T-Bone, let everybody know once again where they can find the Platform Sports Talk Show.
Well, a lot of y'all are probably looking at us on YouTube right now. And hey, for all y'all out there, I know we say it all the time, but listen, hey, hit the like, hit the subscribe. And when you go ahead and do that, make sure you go ahead and hit that. That's right. Hit that bell, because when we go live, hey, we want y'all to be
notified.
That's right. So look, people, you can catch us on Roku. The show will be posted in high definition. You'll be able to see all of our fabulous, fantastic features. You can catch us on Hot 365 Radio, at least for the next 15, 20 minutes, right? And you can catch us on Hot 365 Radio's Twitch channel as well, which would be twitch.tv/Hot365 Radio, where it's always hot out there on the street, because on the first Wednesday of the month, you get to see Ladies Night. That's right.
Joe, where that t-shirt at, Joe? Where that shirt at? There you go. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, look at that. You got Ladies Night representing. I hope you got them out there. Hey, look, you saw the first Wednesday of the month, but hey, the last Wednesday of the month, that's right. You got the Man Cave. You got the Man Cave last Wednesday of the month. Check us out. Hey, you just saw that interview we saw? You want to see somebody send something out. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Put it in them comments. Do something. Reach out. Touch somebody. Well, hey, don't do that.
The word of reflect.
Holy crap.
The Platform Sports Talk Show.
Don't do that. Now I gotta go to the Platform Sports Talk Show HR section. All right.
Get that little tap on your shoulder, buddy. Tap, tap, tap.
Oh man. But with that being said, we'll save our conversation for John Morant and others for next week.
Okay.
We're gonna just ride off to the sunset, because we had
and on a positive note.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So It's been all good. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see y'all next week. It is the Platform Sports Talk Show, and we are done.